Yeah, we back. Now, today's not going to be a long video, man. We're going to be in and out. We're going to be quick because I realized something, man. I realized, man, Tariq, man, he ain't even serious, man. We be taking him serious. We be trying to debunk him because we think he's actually serious, but he's not even serious, bro. Like, I realized today, like, he's just playing, man. He's just playing, but let's get into it, man. As you know, first of all, I want to send my condolences to the family of Mr. Nichols. Before we even get started, I'm going to say rest in peace to the brother. I'm going to send my love and my respect to the family. Now, let's get into it. Now, if you've been following my videos for a while, then you already know what type of video this episode is going to be. But it's something that we are accustomed to. It's something that we've come to expect, right? A tragedy happens in the black community. A tragedy happens, and we already know who's going to be first on the scene asking stupid questions. In fact, if you remember, I believe it was about a week ago, there was that lunatic running around Washington. I believe it was Washington, just going around indiscriminately shooting at people, things like that. And the first thing Tariq Nasheed was talking about was, was it the Africans and the Caribbeans and the black immigrants? But I realized after today, man, Tariq, this is not genuine. You know what I mean? This is not genuine. This is a script. He's just running a play. He's getting paid to do it. Like, it's not even believable anymore. And let's get into it, and you're going to understand why. First of all, as you already know, the first thing Tariq Nasheed, he's going to be asking, is anyone else getting non-FBA vibes from these dudes? Now, the reason why I say Tariq is not even trying anymore is because Tariq Nasheed, I'm sure he's familiar with the demographics of the United States. He knows the populations of different cities, different states. He knows where the black immigrants are. He knows where the black immigrants are not. You know, he knows. Everybody knows. And like I said before, no offense to my brothers that live in these locations, but black immigrants are not leaving their nations to come live in the state of Tennessee or you know, the city of Memphis or Arkansas or Jackson, Mississippi. Those aren't destination spots, right? Black immigrants tend to float to places where the population is high, where there's already a population of their people already there established, so they can kind of blend in and kind of already jump into the community, as well as high populated areas to do business, set up shop, things like that, right? Usually states with a higher cost of living because it's more easier to do business, jump in, make money, you know what I mean? Get to work, things like that. So you're going to find them in the Massachusetts, you're going to find them in the New Yorks, you're going to find them in the Floridas, things like that. It's not going to be large populations of black immigrants in places like Memphis, I believe, where this tragedy took place. Especially not to the point where they're going to be populating whole entire police departments and rolling deep in the police. Like, nah, bro. Like, Tariq knows this. He knows this. He's almost 60 years old. It doesn't take a genius to understand the demographics of America. It's actually very simple and straightforward. Another way to easily tell if a place is populated by black immigrants is just look at the first names and the last names of the people who inhabit that location, right? And if we look at the names of the officers involved in this tragedy, take a look up on the screen. The officers that were charged in this incident go by the names of Demetrius Haley, Desmond Mills, Emmett Martin, Justin Smith, Tadarius Bean, right? Obviously, brothers of Anglophone colonial descent, right? Now, you could say, oh, they might be Jamaican, because as we know, the Jamaicans are also Anglophones, right? So they kind of also have English names, things like that. That's when you go back to the demographics of the city. Is Memphis jumping with Jamaicans like that? No, that is what you call, what's the name of Tariq Nasheed's movement? The foundational black, yeah, that's a foundational black city, right? That's not no Jamaican city. No, like Jamaicans ain't running up in Tennessee like that, bro. And Tariq knows that. He knows that. So in my opinion, there's only two conclusions to come to. Either he understands that his audience is not the brightest bunch, which we've already established. Either he knows they're not the brightest bunch, they don't really understand the demographics of the country. And like I said in previous videos, a lot of their behaviors, a lot of their ideologies are regurgitated white boy nonsense from the early 20th century, right? Especially a lot of narratives they push in regards to the black immigrant population. Very outdated, late 19th century, early 20th century viewpoints that even white people don't go around saying anymore, man. For example, if you look up on the screen, you see the tweet. It says, are these dudes FBA? And then he goes on to say, it may be some first generations. Look at their huge craniums. Now, anyone who has read literature from the 19th century, then you understand how Europeans use the sciences, use the arena of science to justify whatever prejudices they held, right? Even when the science was not backed up by anything, it was just stuff they made up out the back of their behind, right? In case many of you didn't know, there was a field of science known as phrenology, right? And phrenology was basically used as a front to justify why Europeans are superior to Africans, to blacks, because of things like the skull shape, the head shape, you know what I mean? Europeans thought that the size of your cranium had an effect on your morality or your intelligence or your behavior as an individual, as a human being. Now, obviously, eventually this field of science was scrapped, but back in the day, it was a respected field of science, right? Europeans even made up certain medical conditions such as drapetomania. They said if you were a black man, right? If you were a black man on a plantation, you desired to be free You desired for your family to be free, your wife and your kids to be free. They thought that was a mental illness. They thought a black man not wanting to work for a white man for free on a plantation was a mental illness. They thought that was something wrong with that black man and he needed medical treatment to get back on board and get back to work. There was a lot of junk science from the 19th century floating around to justify how the Europeans were making their money, right? We got to keep the slavery thing popping. We got to keep our foot on the Africans' neck. So we got to make up all this nonsense and put it in the scientific text in order to justify the way they made their money and also to justify the way they were living their lives, right? In the minds of the Europeans, it was justified to oppress you. It was justified to subjugate you because you were mentally inferior due to things like the size of your cranium, the size of your skull, and the shape of your skull, things like that. And we see that today in Tariq Nasheed's group, right? They say things like, look at the size of their head, look at the hairline, look at the shape of the head, look at the shape of the hairline, things like that. Like I said, regurgitated nonsense from the early 20th century, late 19th century that they've caught up on, and now they're revamping it and putting a black spin on it. But what they don't understand, by them trying to make a separation from other black people due to things like the size of the shape of the cranium and things like that, they don't understand the people who created this science, the Europeans. They look at them as inferior as well because they're the ones who invented that branch of science to begin with. But like I said, man, most people following Tariq, they're not very highly educated. They're not very highly educated in the sciences, in history, things like that. A lot of this information would be new to them. They're just following and regurgitating whatever Tariq says. They probably can't even spell phrenology. So it is what it is, man. Anyways, at this point, if Tariq Nasheed looked up the article, which I'm sure he did some basic research on the tragedy. If he looked at the names of the officers, if he seen the location where the tragedy happened, which was in Memphis, he would understand that the likelihood of black immigrants being responsible for this would be damn near non-existent. And he knows that. Which at this point, it just shows like he's not even being serious at this point. Like the whole thing is jokes. And I think a good way to end this video is this tweet by what this brother said. Shout out to him. He said, "This is what I'm always talking about. Black men always think it's time to joke and laugh. And because we don't take ourselves seriously enough, how do you expect other demographics to take us seriously? A black man lost his life at the hands of other black men and you got jokes." And when I seen that tweet, it pretty much solidified it for me, man. Tariq, he ain't even serious, man. He ain't even serious. We thought he was serious, but he's not even serious, bro. He's not even serious. Either he's getting paid to do this or he just understands that the intelligence levels of his audience is so low that he could pull this off and they're not even going to check him on it because they're not even intelligent enough to even understand things like demographics and things like that. They just going to follow him blindly into the wilderness. Or he's just on somebody's payroll to push certain narratives shamelessly. Because at this point, it don't even make sense, man. Either he's making a joke or at this point, he's literally paid to do this because this is like, come on, bro. It's like it's like pulling up from the 3-point line and just straight air ball. Like he ain't even try to shoot. Like he ain't even try to make the bucket. Like I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. But anyways, man, it's your boy Neferkari Desalegn back in the building. Yes, indeed. And I'm gone. Peace. Like, share, subscribe. Cash app in the description.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in the ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching me blocking my vision. Pay for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young Money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you ain't caught. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.